Hi, I'm Ralph and I'm here to discuss about implementing stocks in a linked list. So, let's start. We were given this line of code and we have to discuss how it will work. So, first first is in this inside after creating the stock as linked list class, it created a node reference. The stock node root is a node reference. After creating that node reference, we created this class, this static class stock node. It is responsible for the stock node itself. Then inside this is this in, integer data, the integer data. Then this stock node that next is the pointer to the next node. Then inside this inside this stock node class, it created a constructor with an integer data as its parameter. This data is a keyword that will eliminate the confusion between the parameter and the attributes. And the parameter data and the attributes data that is created in this data. Okay. Then we created this boolean is empty method. What is this? What this used for is to test if the root if the stock is empty then to test it, if then it will test if root is equals to null. Since equals to null, and it will return true if it is true, then false if it is false. And after that, we created this method, this public void push method. Then in this method, we don't need to create a return value, since it is a it is a void it is a void tab. Then inside this push method, then inside this push method, we can see that we created a new node with the name of new node. We created a new node with the name of new node, like a new node. And inside this new node is where we put the data that was pushed in, that was pushed from the that was pushed from the main method. Then it will test if root is equals to null. Then if it is true, it will initialize the value of root to the new node, or the date to the new node, and root will become the value of root will become the data that we pushed, since the value of the new node is the data that we pushed. Then and if it is false, it will create an temporary and the attempt node, a stock node temp that is equals to the value of root. Then root root will be equals to the value of new node. Then next node, a new node that next equals temp will point new node to the temp to the node temp. Then it will out then this line this line of code will simply output the data that we pushed in the stack. So we go to the main method. In the main method here, this SLL that push 10 will push the value of 10 to the push date to the push method. So put in this push method, so data will be equals to int data will be initialized to 10, since from the main method we pass the value of 10 to the data. So this created new node, so a new node will be created. So a new node will be created with the value of the data that we passed, that we passed from the main method. So it will be so new node will be now become 10. After that, it will pass. So it will test. So after creating the node, after doing that, it will test the if root is equals to null. It will test if root is equals to null. And since this is the first time we created the node, so root is still null. So this is true. So this if statement is true. So it will initialize the value of root to the value of so the value of new node will be passed to root. So root now will be equals to 10. Then we'll go back to the main node. I mean main node we'll go back to the main method. Then the main method I pass another value to the push method, which is 20, so 20 will be passed to the push method. So this data will now be 10. So 20 will be passed to the int data. So 20 will be passed to the int data. So now int data has the value of 20. Then a new node will be created in here inside the push node. This will create a new node. Then a new node. Then we create a new node in here. The inside the new node, it has the value of the data that we put. It has the value of the data that we pushed. So it is 20. So now new node has the value of 20. Then it will test if root is null. Since now root is not null, it has a value now. So this if statement will be false. So now we will execute the else statement. We will execute the else statement. So here we created we created a temp node. So temp now will be equals to the value of root, which is currently 10. So then after that, root, so root will be so, so after that root will a new node will pass the value of will pass its value to the root. So so 10 will be so 20 will be passed to root. So now root will have the value of 20. Then this new node this new node that next will equals temp point will point the new will point temp I will point new node this new node the new created node to temp to the value of temp, which is 10. So now 20 so now 20 will point to 10. Then after that it will output, then this line of code will output 20 20. So this line of code will output the, the current data, which is now 20. It will output, this will be outputted. Then after that, and the main method it push another date it push another value, which is 30. 30 will be passed to the push data. A will be passed to push method. So now data will have the value of 30. Will have a value of 30. Then a new node will be created with the data of 30 with a value of 30. Then after that will, since this if statement is false, since root is not null, and we will proceed to executing the else statement. So now temp, which is currently 10, will have the value of the root, which is 20. So temp will now be 20. Temp will now be 20. Then root, then the value of new node which is 30 will be passed to the root. So root will now have the value of 30. Will now have the value of 30. Then the new node that next, this will point the new node to the current value of temp, which is 20. So which is pointing to 20. Then after that it will output the value of the data. So 30. So this will output the 30 push to the stack. So then after that, in the main method, it calls for the method pop ssl dot pop. This will call the pop method. In pop method, an integer pop is created with the value of the minimum with a minimum value that an integer can have. Then it will test if root is null. Since there is a root is not null, this will be false, and then we will proceed to execute the else statement. So the pop the int pop so root that data will pass its value to pop, to the variable pop. So pop will now have a value of the current data, which is 30, current value of the root, the data, which is now just 30. Then this will then root equals root dot next. So the root will now have the value of 20, since we pass the value of root dot next to the root. So then it will return the value of pop, which is 30. So as we can see in here, this output, that at 30 pop from stack. And after that, in the main method, it uses SLL peak. This will call the peak method. In peak method, it will simply test if root is equals to null, which is false. Then it will simply return the value of root that theta. The current value of root that theta is 20. And that's all for my explanation. Hope you understand just a little bit, and thank you for listening. Bye bye.